we're going to fight back. And we're not going to let terrorists frighten us. We're not going to let terrorists stop us from going about our way of life as Americans. And I have no doubt, I have absolute confidence that we'll figure out who did this and make an example of them so that this doesn't happen again. And our job in New York City is to save as many people as possible and get the city back to a normal way of life as soon as possible.
That was former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who led his city out of the rubble and destruction following the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001.
Yeah, Rudy, along with President George W. Bush and numerous firefighters, police officers, and volunteers from really all over the nation, spent countless hours there at Ground Zero, doing all they could to help rescue, to help recover the thousands of civilians trapped underneath that rubble.
Rudy Giuliani's leadership, message of strength, perseverance, and unity in the wake of the unthinkable tragedy served as a beacon of hope for many during one of the darkest periods in American history. Joining us now, America's Mayor, Rudy Giuliani. Rudy, welcome to the program. Thanks for coming on National Report this morning. If you could set the scene for us, tell us where you were the moment the first plane struck the North Tower on that September 11th morning.
I was at the Peninsula Hotel finishing breakfast with Bill Simon and Denny Young. Bill Simon was an assistant U.S. attorney who worked for me, who wanted to run for governor of California, and Denny was my longtime, really chief assistant attorney. He was counsel of the mayor at the time. And it was a semi-holiday because it was the primary day. They were conducting Democrat and Republican primaries to select who would run for my office. I was term limited. So it was a little bit of a more relaxing day. I made my staff meeting later than usual. And all of a sudden, toward the end of the breakfast, one of my detectives walked in and said that a twin-engine plane had hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center, and it was a very bad fire. She said, Mayor, we're all ready to go. Because they knew that they had to notify me every time anything happened so that I could make a choice as to whether to go or not. And I got it. I walked outside, I looked up at the sky, and I said to Denny, this can't be an accident. The sky is too clear. So we have two choices, an insane act or terrorism. So let's follow our protocol and let's assume it's terrorism. Always assume the worst is what I was taught about leadership and taught myself for the last 20 years. So we assumed it was terrorism, and I called the police commissioner, and we immediately put into effect our anti-terrorism plan. Largely, it meant securing that site and then going to about 120 places in New York City that over 20, 25 years we had found within the plans of Islamic terrorists that we arrested. Remember, we had been attacked 8 years earlier. I was the U.S. attorney and prosecuted terrorism and worked with the Joint Terrorism Task Force intimately. So I knew their protocols, they knew mine, and we spent countless hours doing drills and exercises. And we had done several at the World Trade Center. So assuming it was what it was very well within our plan. When it turned out that it was airplanes attacking our buildings as an act of war, I realized we weren't planning for that. But thank God, all the planning we did do, my police officers and firefighters, I think helped save the country. Their brave response was in contrast to the evil attack. And it showed, particularly with those firefighters putting up the flag at Ground Zero. I mean, I saw that. I wanted to kiss those guys because they were saying, we're coming after you. I mean, America's going to prevail. Yeah. We can get up on a pile of rubble below 3,000 degree Fahrenheit fires you created. We can stick our flag up. And I also was very grateful that George Bush and not Al Gore was the president, because the Gore-Clinton administration had really created the atmosphere for this. Bin Laden had been attacking us viciously for 2 years, declared war on us. And basically, Clinton would bomb a field, kind of like what Biden just did with those stupid drone attacks. They won't give us the names of who he killed because he didn't kill anybody significant. I knew Bush would knock him back to the first century.
And President Bush was one of the ones that visited Ground Zero there with you, as we have the pictures and video of that 3 days later, a mere 3 days later there. And we've seen the rubble was so high, it was stories up. You talk about the first responders that risked their lives trying to get people, anyone that they could find alive in that rubble, also identifying victims. Just to note, there are still people that were born in an era where this didn't, they have to read about this, where almost 3,000 lives were lost. Almost 400, a little more than 400 first responders were killed in that attack. 8:46, that North Tower was struck. 9:03, that South Tower was struck, and then the corresponding times after when they started to come down. And just what you talked about. We all thought it was a prop plane. We all thought it was a Cessna that ran into that North Tower. It was the second tower where it ran right into those floors on the South Tower that we knew we were under attack. You stood up at that time as a leader. But it also affects you personally as well, because I know that you lost loved ones as well in there. You lost friends.
I lost very, very close friends. I lost a Father Judge who I would, was my spiritual mentor, my friend, had counseled me way back when I first became mayor on how to handle things like this. I had 3 firefighters who died about 2 months into being mayor. And he was with me, and I asked him, how do you deal with this? And he showed me how to do it. And subsequently, I had 52 firefighters and police officers who died in the line of duty. And each one of them, each one of them was given a very, very ceremonial, beautiful funeral, taken care of monetarily, and I would spend time with them. And Father Judge kind of got me through how you explain death to a wife or a child, you don't do well, but he got me through it. And then I saw him, I guess 10 minutes before he died. He was walking toward the site. He came over to me, and I said to him, Father, pray for us. He said, I will, but thank God you have strong shoulders. You're going to need them, Mayor. God bless you. And he hugged me. We always shook hands. This is one of the few times he just gave me a big hug. He had already been in the building, and I was catching up on how horrible it really was. I think I was about halfway there at this point. Then I saw a man jump from the 102nd floor, and that put me over the top. When I saw that, I told my police commissioner, Bernie Carrick, this is beyond anything we've done before. We're going to have to make decisions from our instincts. We got to make them quickly because we can't slow these guys down. And then we got to pray to God that it's right. It's got to say a prayer, God, you make it right. We didn't have the time to really think about this. But we're going with our instincts. And thank God I had people that responded to hundreds of emergencies. I mean, no police department or fire department has more challenges than the one of the largest city in the country and the most complex city in the country.
Yeah, you needed to make some quick decisions and actions. NYPD officers, firefighters, first responders, they rushed toward the scene at that time.
Yeah.
To save others.
That's what got you through.
Yeah. And talk to me, Rudy, too, about the response that we saw from New Yorkers after the fact, too. Everyone came together to help their neighbors, to offer support. Talk to me about that unity and what you saw.
Amazing. When I get too down about September 11 and think of the people I saw jumping and the people I saw getting killed with debris, and then having to identify a lot of the remains, that can really get you down. And thinking about the families, I think about the response, and it was breathtaking. I mean, it was America, like I guess it was right at the beginning of the Second World War. Everybody was an American. Everybody was wearing flags. There was none of this, kneeling for the national anthem or burning flags. President Bush and I and George Pataki drove up the West Side Drive, 3 days later, and there must have been thousands of people lining it with American flags, yelling, "We love you, George." And I said to the governor, none of these people voted for you, for me, or for George, meaning George Pataki. They're all Democrats, but they love you now.
Yeah.
He said it won't remain that way.
Well, we remember the congressional leaders. Every one of the members of Congress came out. Yeah, they sang God Bless America there in D.C. There has never been a more unifying moment in that time. We're out of time with you, Mr. Mayor, but I want to make sure, you and I were talking about this. We need to continue to remember, and you can do so through a documentary that's airing tonight at 9 p.m. This is it, 9/11, the day that shook the world, premiering tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're not home, you can set your DVRs to it. But Rudy Giuliani, Mr. Mayor, the mayor that led us through this, America's mayor, is heavily featured in that. Also, I believe I'll see Saturday as well down there at Ground Zero.
Yeah,
and thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Thank Newsmax for doing this.
It's an honor.
Thing.
No, it's an honor, and it's an honor to speak to you today, sir, and our hearts are with you. I know that those memories are rushing through your head. There's a lot of weight on you today, and especially tomorrow. It's an honor to share your story. Rudy Giuliani, mayor of New York City at the time of 9/11. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hi, Emma Reckenberg here. If you like this video, there's a whole lot more to see on Newsmax TV. You can watch for free right here on our YouTube live stream and be the first one here each time our experts break down real news. Just hit that subscribe button, ring the bell icon, and stay with us on America's fastest growing cable news channel, Newsmax TV.